What is happening, YouTube family? Today we are going to be better understanding anxiety. I'm going to give you a recommendation on a book that has completely been changing my life. We're going to break it down, discuss what anxiety is, and give it 2 classifications to make it a little bit easier for us to understand. And then we're going to further break it down into what the classifications and the diagnoses are. So without further ado, let's get this thing going and let's both understand anxiety a little bit better. First things first, let's define anxiety. Well, give it a broad definition. Anxiety is that feeling of uneasiness or worry that usually manifests itself through fear, usually coming in the form of thoughts. Now, in the beginning of this video, I promised you I was going to give you a book recommendation, and I'm not going to make you wait long for it. The book, Untangling Anxiety. I'm going to link it in the description. It has been a complete game changer for me. So a lot of the information I'm going to be giving to you through this video is going to come directly from that. So make sure to check that out in the link below. For the purpose of this video, we're going to break down levels of anxiety into 2 separate categories. The first one, everyday normal life anxiety. The second one is the life-altering and the debilitating anxiety. First, let's talk about normal everyday life anxiety. Normal everyday life anxiety are things like being nervous for a job interview, being nervous before the big game, or worrying about that test you have tomorrow and whether you're going to pass or fail the class. Now, believe it or not, this normal everyday life anxiety can be good for us because essentially it's designed to protect us. This level of anxiety almost everybody is going to experience at some point in their life or throughout their life. Now, the next type of anxiety, and probably the type of anxiety that brought you to this video, is the life-altering and the disordered anxiety. Now, don't let the term disorder scare you. What it really means is it is something that prevents you from doing normal life things and preventing you from normal routines you would normally take part in. Some examples of disordered or life-altering anxiety may be staying home because you feel like you're going to go crazy when you go out and you don't have an escape route, or you don't want to go to a concert because of the fear of being in a large crowd. You don't want to go to the restaurant because you're scared you might pass out in front of everybody in the restaurant. For people living with anxiety disorder, this is the type of thing that will prevent you from feeling like you are healthy, that you are able to do normal life things. So oftentimes we'll feel broken, we'll feel like we're never going to get better, or that life is just different for us. First on our list of the most common diagnosed anxiety disorders, panic disorder, or fear of panic. During a panic attack, oftentimes these occur because those what if questions become reality. For instance, what if I'm having a heart attack no longer feels like what if, it feels as if we are having a heart attack. So the more what if questions we are asking ourselves, the more and more intrusive thoughts we are having, which are becoming our reality. Second on our diagnosis list is health anxiety. Now, health anxiety is when we worry that our health is always at risk or something seriously is wrong with us at all times. So, for instance, if we have a little pain in our side, we feel as if we have lung cancer. Or if we have numbness in our arm, we feel like we're having a stroke or a heart attack. And that turns into the what if questions, which then can lead into a panic attack. Now, one of the worst things we can do is if we have health anxiety is to use Google as our friend. Google is not a doctor. It is not set up to show us the things that we're experiencing. It's set up to show us the things that are most searched. So remember that next time you Google something, it is not set up for you. It is set up for the things that are most searched. Another common diagnosis is social anxiety. Now, social anxiety kind of speaks for itself. Social anxiety means when we're out in public, we feel as if everyone is looking at us, or we stick out like a sore thumb, and we get those intense feelings of anxiety if we don't fit in. We want to leave. We need to get out. And all of these things and all these intrusive thoughts start building up, often causing us to have anxiety attacks, panic attacks, those types of things. Now, if you've ever been scared to leave your house or even your bedroom, you're going to know what our next common diagnosis is. That common diagnosis is agoraphobia. Agoraphobia is simply put, you don't want to leave your safe place in the event that you might have a panic attack or an episode in public. Or maybe you've had an episode in public at this place before, and since you're going there again, you feel it's going to happen to you again. Before we list our next common diagnosis, if you feel any of these are relatable to you, make sure you drop a comment below to let me know what you feel, because this is a community, and I think if we can all share our experience and our coping mechanisms, we can all learn to heal together. Next up on commonly diagnosed anxieties is intrusive thoughts. Now, the title itself is pretty self-explanatory, but oftentimes these intrusive thoughts come in forms of catastrophes. For example, thinking that a loved one is going to die, if you don't feel if you're going to make it home safely that day, a sudden heart attack is going to take you away. These type of things are intrusive thoughts, which can compound into our next diagnosis. Obsessive compulsive disorder, commonly known as OCD, is when those intrusive thoughts become repetitive and non-stop, and all of a sudden they start compounding on top of each other and become so overwhelming that it can cause panic attacks. Oftentimes it's just thought of as OCD as being people flicking light switches too many times or having to click the fan on and off a couple times before bed, but it's so much more than that. Obsessive compulsive disorder can come in the form of thoughts as well, which stem from those intrusive thoughts. Next up, we have generalized anxiety disorder, and while the title may suggest it's the lesser of all of the evils, I can assure you that it's not. Generalized anxiety disorder is when you live in a constant state of worrying, often known as worrying about the worrying. People with generalized anxiety disorder often live out the day-to-day with a constant state of unease and feeling unsettled. Now, the last diagnosis to make our list is post-traumatic stress disorder, also known as PTSD. Now, most of the time, people just associate this with veterans of war or people currently fighting the war. But you don't have to experience war to experience PTSD. A lot of times, unhealed childhood trauma can manifest itself into PTSD, or any traumatic experience can then turn into PTSD. Now, I know that was a lot, but I hope you have a better understanding, and you're probably asking yourself the question, what now? Well, the first thing you can do is I highly recommend to check out the book Untangle Your Anxiety. This book is by Joshua Fletcher and Dean Stott, and I promise you, if anything else, it'll help you better understand what is going on in your mind and help you feel less alone throughout this anxiety journey. Another thing you can do is join a community you trust. I have all of my social links down below where I talk about mental health, mindfulness, spirituality, and life perspective that hopefully can help you also along this journey. Most importantly, if you take nothing else from this video, please ask and seek for help. Talking to a therapist or a counselor is something I will always advise, because they are the people that are going to be able to provide you the tools to help work through these when they arise. If you got anything from this video, please remember to share and like the video. Also, if you think this could possibly help anybody you may know, feel free to share it to them, because remember, we are a community that is trying to heal together. Now, that's it for me. Remember, spread some love today to yourself and others. Take care. Peace.